Beginning in October of 1656, due to a series of widespread fires and resulting famine, the great trading power of Bengal entered into a decade of rapid decline and unrest, bringing it almost to the brink of collapse. On the 3rd of August, 1657, Armenia Khan shocked the world by defeating the growing power of Kandar and annexing the territory along the northern coast of Anatolia, which was taken from them by Kandar in the first place. Some thought this was a resurgence of the old empire from the lowest abyssal point in its history, while others thought of this as a last hurrah, the final conquest of a once great empire doomed to ruin. Kral Tepelus sent them a gift of 500 ducats, congratulating them, happy to see fellow Christians beat back the upstart powers of the Muslim world, even if they were heretics. Meanwhile, to the west, in Wallachia, their long-established religious pluralism was done away with by way of a command through their new personal union with England. Now they stood as an officially Catholic country, beholden to the Pope and hostile to the Protestants of the north. In 1660, a group of ethnically Romanian Masalian rebels broke away from Kiev and called themselves by the name of Easterly Wallachia, taking up the flag and arms of old Lesser Wallachia. Romania paid them no heed, and neither did Wallachia, and as such their strange display was largely ignored by the world. A son was finally born to Kral Tepelus in November of that year, named Nikolai. On the 23rd of October, 1662, Armenia Khan suffered a grievous defeat at the hands of the Ottoman and Kandari rebels. Still, their archipelago of territory still clung to life across Anatolia, and their capital Erzincan survived, having resisted all attempts at siege. The Ottomans, as a result of their victory, went from a one-province afterthought to a small country, demanding consideration. In November of 1665, Shogun Yoshikatsu Ashikaga announced the Siberia Sengen, or Siberia Proclamation, wherein he laid claim to all of Siberia for Japan in a kind of manifest destiny. In July of 1666, Burgoyne lost a war to the upstart nation calling itself France, which annexed a cluster of their northern provinces. In 1674, Samu conquered Avaria in its entirety, putting an end to one of the powerful Muslim hordes. On the 2nd of January 1676, Krakow seceded to Poland after separatist rebels enforced their demands there. Kral Minea let it go, as it was a poor province that cost more to keep than to let go. This decision inspired rage in certain more zealous circles of government. On the 17th of March, 1681, Erzincan, the capital of Armenia Khan, was finally conquered. Its walls crumbled under the fire of cannons, and its stalwart garrison was overcome by Mazandaran, which was coming to dominate the region. The Shiite soldiers laid waste to the city, burning the sacred effigies of Lucifer the Lightbringer, and slaughtering the people of the city wholesale, burning them in great piles to light their destructive night. Basilius Epiphanios Chrysophos scarcely escaped with his life, fleeing under the cover of night in the back of a merchant cart headed for Trebizond in a sack of flour. Armenia Khan still clung to life, but only in far-flung exclaves like in the Upper Nile region, northern Crimea, and southern Anatolia. At that point, these functioned almost as separate kingdoms due to the nature of their isolation, communicating only through secret messengers that made their way as members of trading caravans. It was agreed that the capital was to be wherever the emperor's line survived, and in that case, the capital was Trebizond on the shores of the Black Sea. Meanwhile, in August of that year, Pope Johannes V invented and popularized hot chocolate as a sweet dessert beverage, reaping the first fruits of their colonial empire. Also, the lot of the Golden Horde improved suddenly as well. Romania won its minor war with Kiev, and as a part of the peace agreement forced them to return Sikov in Latvia and Kola in Finland to the Golden Horde. Kral Tepelus would later say it was in exchange for aiding the cause of Romanian independence from Wallachia centuries ago. In 1683, Trebizond was captured by Imereti and the Armeniakite capital moved to Crimea. In 1685, tea became the national drink of the Papal State. This came with their annexation of Nachigao in southern China, which was still atomized and hopelessly disunited. In 1686, Armenia Khan was expelled from Crimea and Anatolia completely, leaving them with a scant 4 landlocked provinces hugging the Nile, with Caen as their capital. Poland entered into civil war the following year, paving the way for Mazovia to take their place in 1687. On the 13th of January, 1689, King Sinigils Hasting VI declared war upon Romania for the conquest of Hant. King Meneatepalus called for all the forts to resume their maintenance and for the military to regain its full funding. After such a long period of minimal spending, such a grievous expense was now possible to take on. 26,000 men were raised for the task and sent to invade Englisc Austria proper. Romania's nearly ancient system of forts and castles made the country theoretically impenetrable to invasion, when the crown could pay for them, that is. In June of that year, the Papal State started bringing in vast quantities of diamonds from their South American holdings, opening the market to magnates, noblemen, and connoisseurs of fine jewelry. Meanwhile, Armeniacan had been reduced to a single province, Litkopolis, which was crowded, destitute, and desperately clinging to life. By November, Englisc ships had failed to make landing at the heavily fortified southern coast of Romania and couldn't get passage from Kandar to pass through the Bosporus, so their 20 ships and thousands of men languished at port until they decided to land in southern Wallachia instead, their junior partner in a personal union. Meanwhile, all of Austria proper was occupied by Romania, and now a force of 32,000 Romanian men invaded from the north. Wallachia was unable to put up any considerable resistance to this incursion, however, because Protestant rebels had very recently enforced their demands on the country, changing their state religion once again, leaving them with both a depleted army from war and a great deal of social unrest. By May of 1690, 21,000 Englisc troops marched from Wallachia into northwestern Romania, so the Romanian counter-invasion was suspended to protect the homeland. The Battle of Sabolx commenced on the 25th of May, the Romanian forces catching the invaders as they were attempting to outmaneuver Romania in order to avoid the battle altogether. The battle was won on the 8th of June. The Englisc sent back into Wallachia, where they met 10,000 reinforcements at Pest. The fighting would continue for another year, each army avoiding the other while they played a kind of cat-and-mouse game, occupying each other's territories and moving around to reclaim their own. The war ended in a white peace, due to the death of Sinigils VI and a succession crisis back in England. In January of 1695, Kral Meneatepalus signed the Edict of Public Welfare, which established and mandated a minimum standard of support for the poor and destitute, regulated through both secular and religious public houses. A minor policy, but a landmark in Europe to be sure. On the 12th of December, 1695, Kral Nicolae Tepalus ascended to the throne of Romania, demonstrating a promising tactical intelligence as well as a calm and even hand.